What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 98 of the RDO Podcast with the VK Bros, Jason and Alex Von Cannell. How are you this morning, Alex?
I'm pumped. I've had a big day, big week this week. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was really big, to the point where I've actually got to do heaps of work on. It's Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. I've already cleaned one car and photographed it, and got a stack of bills to pay, and we're here late last night doing paperwork. It's been good.
Yeah, so we've got a shed full of cars here. So if any of you are looking for a purchase to make before end of financial year, because it is June.
Oh yeah, I need to say that I've been getting some of these, and a lot of people haven't even started the process yet, thinking that they're going to get a great deal when they come in just before, but they haven't got finance sorted.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to supply you a car way quicker than you're going to get your finance. Do that first.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a link on the bottom of my website. If you go to the Autobros website, down the bottom, on the very bottom right, there's a big green link to get mint. Go get your mint before you have a look at a car, and that'll make your life a lot easier.
Oh yeah, and if you haven't started the looking process yet for the car, just do it now, because if anyone who has looked for a car in the last 2 years knows, due to COVID and all the supply chain issues and everything like that, new car stock is almost non-existent, depending on which brand you're looking at. Used car stock is really hard to come by, because most of the people who've tried to buy a new car have bought a used car instead.
Yeah.
Jump on autobros.com.au, is it? And have a look through the stock, because we do have plenty of cars here ready for immediate sale before end of financial year.
I'm ready. Anything that you see there, you can have today.
Yeah. Beautiful. So you've had a big week. I've had a massive week.
Yours has been bigger than mine.
And not for a good reason. So just to give everyone the update, my second son, 3.5-month-old Jake, went to hospital on Monday with RSV. So RSV is a respiratory virus which there's like 4 different viruses going around at the moment. COVID, influenza A, RSV, and bronchitis. They're just like all out there. So everyone's getting sick at the moment. A lot of it's probably to do with people having no immune system for the last 2 years, because of how sanitary everyone's been and the masking and staying away from each other and all that nonsense.
I don't believe that, but anyway. I don't think human biology forgets after 2 years.
I do.
No.
I absolutely do. But I think there's more than just that involved, but I think that is a factor. So he got RSV. So essentially, if an infant gets it, it can be pretty bad, because it causes bronchiolitis, which is different to bronchitis.
Right.
And also...
I'm across all of this because I've just been watching Jurassic Park.
Right.
Bronchosaurus. Bronchiolitis.
Yeah.
Asaurus.
That was a stretch, bro. That was a Saturday morning stretch. Drink some more energy drink, brother. Anyway, it was pretty bad, because essentially he got RSV, which then gave him bronchiolitis and then caused his lungs to get infected.
Right.
So pretty much couldn't breathe, couldn't feed. So he'd been on oxygen and a feeding tube since Monday. We only got out on, was it Friday, Arvo? Thursday, Arvo, I think it was. So yeah, pretty full on. Shout out to my wife Amanda, the trooper. She pretty much didn't sleep for any more than half an hour at a time for like 4 days straight, because obviously he was sick on the weekend. Let this be a lesson to you. So she took him to the doctors twice on the weekend, once on Friday, once on Saturday, and both times was told, he's all good. He's all good. He'll be fine. He just needs to breastfeed and to rest. And it just didn't sit right with her. And then so she made the decision to take him to emergency, and they'll bring him straight in. The emergency room was full, and they'll bring him straight in. And look, in fairness to the doctors who said he was all right, what a lot of the doctors and nurses were saying in the hospital was that they refer to RSV as the 3-day virus, because the first 3 days it's just like sniffly nose, normal cold and flu-like symptoms. Doesn't seem like that big a deal. The next 3 days, when you start getting all the infections in your lungs and stuff like that, is when it just hits you really hard. So he may just look like he had a normal head cold on those first couple of days, and then by the sort of Sunday night, Monday, it infected him and smashed him.
So is that a strategy? Just keep, they reject you for 3 days to see if you do get over it?
Look, possibly. What I find so bizarre about the whole experience is, I remember in the lead up to Jake being born, because I was concerned about whether or not I was going to be led into the hospital, I went and got a COVID test, but like a formal, like a PCR test. But they do like a full respiratory panel. So there's like 10 different viruses they test for all at the same time. And I was negative for all of them. So I took those results to the hospital with me just in case they asked me for it, which they didn't, funnily enough. But what I find so bizarre is, as a doctor, so I would go, I know these 4 viruses are circulating. And I know this particular virus, being RSV, and maybe even influenza A, would probably fuck a kid up, right? I've got the ability to go and get this kid a full respiratory panel to see exactly what he's got so I can give an applicable treatment plan. And they just didn't do it. Like, literally all they cared about was whether or not he had COVID. That's it. That's all the doctors care about.
Yeah, I mean, we had said this earlier on, that we thought there was real problems with the fact that we're so focused.
Yeah, tunnel vision on COVID.
Yeah, that all this other stuff is going to... And look, the all-cause mortality's gone up, so...
And it's funny too, because like I've been speaking to a lot of people, and a lot of friends of mine have been really, really sick over the past few months. And it's not COVID. It's something else. Like they're like, oh, I tested negative for COVID, but I think it was the flu. Or like I had a friend who got RSV. Oh, our sister-in-law's got RSV at the moment. Completely unrelated because we haven't seen her for weeks. And it's really smashed her. And it's like, you know, there are these other things that are out there. And as a medical professional, I would have thought they would have taken a bit more care with a 3-month-old infant that's showing these signs, knowing what diseases.
No, we only care about the old now. The elderly.
Yeah,
the elderly would have got the full panel.
They did try to stick 3 jabs in him on the day when he was in there. No, just kidding. But no, it was pretty cool.
And how's he going now?
He's doing okay. Like, he's still sick, but he's not requiring hospitalisation. So they took him off oxygen on Wednesday afternoon, and he was off the whole night. And like because they just follow basically their heart rate and their oxygen saturation the entire time they're in there. He was off the feeding tube slightly before that. But yeah, he's doing okay now. He's still a little bit sick, still a little bit grizzly, but doing a hell of a lot better.
Is Amanda sleeping?
No. Maybe a little bit better. Oh, actually, ironically, she probably got her best sleep at the hospital that she's had in months on the second night. Because the second night, when he was more settled, because he was on oxygen and being fed through a feeding tube, she didn't have to wake up to feed him. So she slept for probably 3 hours straight that night, which might have been the best continuous sleep that she's had in a while.
Wow.
So we were even joking around going like, mate, can we like stay an extra couple of days? Like, you just leave the feeding tube in and then
like
she can actually sleep
It's
through.
a resort to you.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was our holiday for the year, so that's done.
Well, that makes my gripe seem really, really shallow.
Let's go.
Okay. And this really is, we are at opposite ends of the scale here. Because what I want to whinge about is QR code menu systems. So I went to Topgolf on Wednesday for lunch with mates. And one of the guys took the entire order.
Yep.
Food, drink there was 3 of us.
When you say one of the guys, one of your mates who was with you ordered for everyone?
Yes.
Or, yeah, okay, so not like a wait staff.
No wait staff, because now in the age of this QR thing, the best way to do it... No, I'll list all the gripes after. So this is what happened. So he orders a meal for all of us, drinks for all of us, and a side. Now, the side was like potato jams. Yep. So that's not a meal. We all know that's not a meal. 2 meals came out, and the potato jams, and all the drinks came out. And we're like, okay, the guy who ordered, his meal hasn't come out. And I'm like, dude, it's not coming. Tell someone.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, no, just wait a little bit longer. I said, it's not coming. Tell someone. So they grab a staff member. Staff member walks off. Oh, yeah, I'll sort that out for you. Goes to the kitchen and then comes back and goes, can I see your receipt? Now, the reason why this triggered me is because this is now the second time that this has happened.
Yeah.
So we have a new system that's out where the client does all the work, right? The person goes through the menu, sets up the account, name,
that's one
address,
of the main things I hate about these
phone number, email address, credit card details that aren't saved for if you want to add to that purchase, you've got to start from step 1 over and over again.
Yep.
But not only that, now the onus is not on the kitchen to supply the food, it's up to the customer to
So-
decide whether the food has arrived or not.
Yeah.
Now,
So there's an accusation that you are lying to receive free food.
yeah, but like Tasha said, she goes, well, if she said, like, obviously there's a problem with their system at a kitchen level, and she said doing it this way leaves them more exposed because all you do, so hey, this is how we can make them pay. When your order arrives, pick one of the orders up, stick it on, hide it, and then do the same thing and say, here's my receipt.
Yeah.
Okay, because unlike where a waiter or waitress will know what was ordered.
There's someone there to cross-check.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that you ordered that item.
Yeah, or I've served this amount of people. I took 3 orders, but I've only got 2 meals.
Yeah.
And then we got on this, because the guys that I was with are tech nerds. We're all in these whacked out businesses together. And we were talking about how disjointed that system has become. So this is supposed to have made things more streamlined.
Streamlined, yeah.
But that payment system is way more clunky than it was before. The only added security it gives to the restaurant is that they now get their money first.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily to make the process more streamlined. It was to stop face-to-face contact with wait staff. That was why it was originally brought in. But now they've just never removed it. And I think that a lot of businesses realise that by having these systems and continuing them, you actually need less floor staff, so they save money.
But you don't.
Why don't you?
Well, because who brings the food to you? Until the robot brings the food, which some sushi places have.
Yeah, but that's 50% of the job. So 50% of the job is carting the food out. The other 50% is taking orders and actually giving people customer service. Which if you don't need to do that, then you can save on staff.
I can tell you, in the places that I've been, there's just people standing around waiting for to do the serve part and not take the order part. So you haven't
I'm not defending the system. And like I said, I don't think it was ever designed to streamline. I think the whole point was the face-to-face contact thing because of COVID. And then businesses have left it in place because it gives them an excuse to have shitter service.
But also, how insane is this? Imagine if a waiter came up to you and said, oh, hi, what would you like? Yeah, I'd like a bowl of potato chips. Like, yeah, cool. What's your full name?
Yeah, I know.
What's your home address?
Yeah. What's your phone number?
What's your phone number?
What's your credit card number?
Yeah. And then, can I add I've just decided, can I add a drink to that? Yeah, sure. What's your name?
Yeah.
What's your address? What's your credit card?
Yeah.
This system sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm out trying to have a good time. I get it, you're in hospital at the time. I was out hitting balls, trying to have a good time.
In hospital, we were getting food delivered to us.
Yeah, you get better service in hospital than what you get out in the... It is really, really, really irksome. It's another example of all that corporate stuff that I said where systems get in the way.
Yeah.
They don't help.
No.
They make it worse. That's worse. That system is worse.
Yeah, but like I said, corporate goes, we now have a system which allows us to hold less staff, which has lower staffing costs. It does.
No. But they don't have less staff. What I said, the staff are sitting there doing nothing because one of their jobs has been taken away, but the job of them serving is still there.
I'm telling you, they have less staff. Because they have got that system, they have less staff. There will probably be extra
Jason, you haven't been out for 2 years.
I'm out, bro.
I'm out all the time. The same staff are in these places because the same person that brought your food before, so your waiter or waitress takes your order and brings you your food. The food is still brought to you. So that person is still there.
Yeah, but you need less people because they're only doing 50% of the job.
No, you're wrong. So yes, they're doing 50% job. So do you know what they do? They stand for the 50% and do nothing.
Okay, I'll tell you this. If any business is out there, like a service business that is using one of these systems, that is still employed the same amount of people as these systems, you deserve to go bankrupt because that's fucking stupid. That is really dumb.
That's what I'm telling you, dude. It is stupid, and it's time and again where companies, especially using technology, and don't know how to make technology work. It's another. They're not reducing staff because these people are desperate. You could walk down this street and you could get 5 jobs in hospitality here.
Yeah. There's signs everywhere. People hiring.
Yeah. That's not the case. It has not made anything more efficient. If anything, it's made the system clunkier. It was like that example. Remember when we were at Volkswagen and they centralized the registration and they said, this is great. We can reduce the amount of people, which they didn't. They just put them all in one room. And then the paperwork was increased by every single salesperson that has sold a car.
Yeah.
And on their mind, they're saying, hey, great, we've got this centralised unit now.
Yeah.
So on paper, that reads great. Except what's not recorded is how much labour goes into supplying the information that centralised system needs, as opposed to having someone on site.
Do you know what's even better? When I was at Subaru, when you were at Toowong, you had to drive to Newstead to pick the fucking plates up.
Yeah.
So you had to go through all that system, and then it's like, yeah, cool, we've saved all this time and money. Now, let's pay a staff member to get in a car, drive down like inner city bypass, and I don't know how long exactly it takes, depending on the day and how much traffic there is. But it's a massive loss of product.
So this is an offer for companies out there. If you're in a big organisation, I'm 10 grand a day. I'll come in and I'll talk from the bottom to the very top, and I'll look at every single system that you've got in place, and I guarantee I'll increase your productivity by minimum 20%. I'll increase it by 20%. I want $10,000 a day. I'll write your full report that you probably won't read, just like every other report that you receive. And I'll make your business better, because there's so many of these things and they do my head in. You just watch it and you're like, you added something. When you add something, it's supposed to remove two things, right? With technology. That's the whole idea. Yeah. I watched the movie Hidden Figures. Great movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the black ladies that worked for NASA in the 60s.
Doing all the coding.
Segregated community. Not coding, it was the mathematics of it. Like,
right.
They literally needed someone, a mathematician, to figure out the maths. Whereas, and
that stuff's mental.
The computer was being introduced at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this computer can do 100 calculations in the time that you can do. So that was an example of where they got rid of an entire room of people that was replaced by one computer, albeit the computer was the size of a room at the time.
Yeah, and had less processing power than what your phone currently has now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We landed people on the moon
with less,
allegedly, with less technology.
Well, some say that it's less than a calculator.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But that made that part efficient. What business is struggling to do at the moment is they're adding all the technology. The amount of these software as a service companies that go and flip these, like I had a customer that was telling me she works in aged care. They spent $500,000 on a system to do rostering that didn't work, yet they still got paid. Yeah. And they're back to square one again.
Well, I'd hate to tell you this, Alex, but paying for products that don't do what they told you they were going to do is pretty commonplace these days. That's how we roll.
It is.
We fucked the farm with when it comes to technology. When for Amanda's birthday, all she wanted to do was go out and sushi train. That's all she wanted to do. And we went to one of the sushi trains. It's got the little robot that like delivers food and drinks and stuff to the table. Yeah. Have you seen those before?
Yes, mate. I go out to dinner and lunch all the time.
Yep. Okay.
All the time.
And it sounds like you have really good experiences.
I've met the robots. They're quite nice.
So anyway, we're at like one of the booths, and we're probably second from the end. And Nate just wants to see the robot, and he's like excited about looking at the robot. And then the robot comes to us, gives us our stuff, and whatever. Oh, yeah, cool, that was fun. And the next thing you know, there's this other family that's gone to the last table, and they're just waiting, and like nothing seems to be happening. And what we didn't realise is that because we had the pram in the walkway, the robot couldn't get around the pram. So their food's just sitting on this robot for like 15, 20 minutes.
It doesn't beep or anything?
No, nothing.
Because the ones up here will beep. And it has, because ours have a screen on it. Yeah. And it will say like, there's something in the way or calls for help.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, not this one. It's maybe it was...
no, yours was an apprentice robot.
Yeah, it literally just sat there because it couldn't figure out how to get past the pram. And all the staff just kept walking past it. Like, weren't even checking in on the robot.
Well, okay, that's the other thing too. I think there's a real cultural issue that with... Actually, that is the perfect anecdote or the perfect analogy. I was always really annoyed that we would have these expensive programs, and instead of ringing the person that made the program to fix a particular bug that was in it, we would develop a workaround, which is exactly what that wait staff did. Mm-hmm. They worked around the robot that was stuck.
But I just feel like that's the case everywhere now. Everywhere just seems to... Like you said, like these QR codes. I've had similar issues with these QR codes. I hate them because, for one, like, you know, we're in our 30s. We're pretty well versed in technology, and even we find them cumbersome to use. I guarantee you, boomers are going out places
yeah.
and they're leaving because they can't actually order. So the amount of money that businesses are having walk out the door because the only people in this current economy who've got any fucking money can't spend it with your business because they don't want to figure out how to use your system.
Yeah, well, pulling out your flip phone and going, name 21111 337777.
Well, yeah, like I remember I went to the Bavarian Beer Cafe, like it would have been 12 months ago, and we had to order drinks through this app, and it's the exact same experience that you're talking about. There's wait staff literally standing at the bar. We were the only table there because we got there pretty early in the evening, and I'm trying to log in, and then I go to pay, system error. I couldn't even order any drinks.
Yeah.
And I just had...
And they won't know there's a system error.
Yeah, I just said... I was showing it to them. I'm like, guys, come over here. I want some drinks. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't care. Just give me some beer. I came here for beers.
Yeah.
And they just let me order up at the counter. But, like, it was so dumb. The whole thing's so dumb. And now, in a living with COVID stage of the pandemic, just scrap these systems. Because your customer service is suffering. And look... Yeah, maybe we're speaking from being extroverts, and maybe there's some introverts that really enjoy the fact that they can go out for a meal and not have to talk to anyone. Maybe that's a good thing for them. I don't know. But...
Hold on, I've forgotten another gripe with these things.
Oh, here we go.
It's digital, right? So you've got a digital menu.
Mm-hmm.
Mum and Dad came up once and we went out for a place that had it. Mm. Oh, yeah, that's not available. Like, we ordered it, punched it through. Oh, yeah, that's not available. That's in a breakfast menu. Grey out the stuff that I can't use. You gave me... Like, this is the QR code. That's your menu. Surely... Look, I'm no software engineer, but surely you can have it time sensitive so that from 5 in the morning to 11 is your breakfast menu. Yeah. And only the breakfast menu was shown... And then from 11 onwards...
Had you paid for it before?
Of course we did. You can't get anywhere without paying for it. They don't know it's there. And then now, those guys, the receipt didn't come out. That's why our order didn't come out. And then it was our problem to say that we ordered it. I'm like, surely you've got more... Sure, there's got to be a back end, your system. I have a phone that I had to order with. Yeah. Surely you've got a phone that receives it with. Not just a docket book that's written out there. And if it's a docket book, just write the one docket here from a waiter.
Yeah.
See, this is infuriating. Yeah. This is absolutely infuriating. It's an outrage.
There's got to be an investigation.
Yeah, there has to be an investigation. This is the biggest thing plaguing our time. Nothing is worse in 2022 than the QR menu ordering system. Nothing.
Maybe it's part of the...
What's happening in Ukraine is really bad. But do they know what it's like trying to order off a QR menu? It's a nightmare.
Well, no, because they're just getting their orders shipped to them for free from the United States at the moment.
Free for them, not free for the American taxpayer.
Dude, I had the exact same experience this week. We only just realised this week because I had to update some Centrelink stuff that we never registered Jake's birth. Because again, stupid systems, redundant systems. We've registered his birth, I don't know, 2 or 3 other places.
Right.
But apparently the actual births and deaths registry, you've got to do it on its own. Like, he's got a fucking Medicare card. He's already been through the system.
Talk to each other.
That's right. So, anyway.
That's why digital identity would help, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, no thanks.
Oh, one world government. I mean, one...
Anyway, moving on. So I've registered his birth on the website. I must say, so Queensland government website, optimised for phone. It was great. Yeah. It was seamless. System
Same with the ATO one is really good, actually.
Cool. So worked really, really well. Anyway, I get through and it gets to the part where it's like, so you've put in all the details. That's cool. Do you want to order a birth certificate at this point? And I'm like, yeah, well, he's going to need it at some stage down the track, so like get a passport or whatever. So go to order the birth certificate, and they're like, oh, do you want to order a commemorative? So you get like the normal one and like a commemorative one.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, it's like $6 or something. Yep. All right, cool. I'll get a Queensland Maroons commemorative birth certificate. Might be worth something one day. So anyway, I order it, I pay for it, get the order confirmation emailed to me, happy days. Shortly afterwards, get another email. The Queensland Maroons commemorative certificates are currently out of stock. So there's no information as to, am I getting refunded? Am I getting a different certificate? Am I just waiting? Like, it's a certificate. Print out another one.
Yeah, well,
it's a piece of paper. Just print one.
And that's the other thing too. Like,
I still don't know if I'm getting anything. I think I've just given them money and they've just taken it and I get nothing.
We are in this no man's land of the difference between how to interface manual labor with digital software. We can't do it. Like, surely you can grey out the maroon.
That's right. The maroon's one's out of stock. You can grey it out.
If you ain't got none, don't let no one order one.
It's a piece of paper. Print one. Print a piece of paper. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's absolutely wild.
Okay, so that's my gripe about that. We need to talk about the crypto markets.
Okay.
They have taken an absolute shellacking. I think it's an 80% correction. It's huge. And we could be in a full-blown bear market.
It would appear that way.
So, a couple of my viewpoints on this. So currently we're at, I think it's 40 grand Aussie.
For Bitcoin?
For Bitcoin. No, sorry.
I thought it was
29.
Yeah.
29,000. Hovering around the 20,500 US mark. It's been there for a couple of days, but it was a really, 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 really big correction. This is the size of the correction that I felt happen in 2017, in the 2017 bull run, before it went to its all-time high. So some of these minor corrections that we've had before were nothing in comparison.
Oh, they were just blips.
Yeah, blips in my mind. I hadn't gone and measured them, so I'm not 100% sure. Just the feeling that I had.
I feel like some of them were just institutional pump and dumps too.
But we had those back then.
We
had those back then. They were just much smaller. But the percentage could be the same. So, by that rationale, we could still see an all-time high. Except for the fact that in 2017, we didn't have any of these other pressures on financial systems. We didn't have blowing out inflation. We didn't have a new war. We didn't have...
an energy crisis.
We
all know how much energy Bitcoin uses.
We should talk about that. Yes, but somehow none of the nodes have gone down. Interesting. There was no stock market crash. Like it was a very different time. So I don't think it's going to recover because there's just no money to put back in the system. You mean
you don't think it's going to recover quickly? It's going to be a long term.
Yeah. I think the run could be over. I think the bull run could be over. Is what I'm saying. What sparked the big sell off was the US inflation number. Everyone was expecting it to go from 8.4 to 8.2. Like they thought they was thinking a drop, but instead it went to 8.6. And that just terrified everyone. Now we all know that 8.6 is really 28.6 or 38.6. You can see that reflected in fuel. Yesterday I put 98 in a car, and that's the new record for me. I've never ever spent more than $2.44 for a litre of fuel. Crazy.
This is really interesting because obviously there's so much involved in this. I just want to make a few points too. Point number one, I had a friend message me during the week going, what's happening with crypto? Like it's bombing. And I'm like, look at the stock market. The stock market's bombed too. And at the end of the day, when it comes to things like investment, whether it's crypto, whether it's stock, whether it's property, it all depends on market confidence. And there ain't that much market confidence at the moment. And that is for all those reasons you recently outlined. And obviously, one of the biggest problems is cost of living pressures. Most of the mum and pop investors are all their costs are going up pretty bad. So the money that would normally be on aside to be able to invest in these things and potentially increase their prices, they've gone the other way. And like what I was thinking about doing the other week, which I didn't, which I'm still comfortable with not doing, was I was looking at pulling a bit of money out of my shares, just have that little buffer sitting there. But I've got enough, so I'm fine anyway. But so that is one point, is like crypto it's interesting how it's sort of mirroring the stock market to a degree. Because a lot of major stocks are well down as well. I think Amazon's still down like 40% from the last 6 months.
Well, anything buy now, pay later is down 90%.
Yeah. So
90%.
Which
this
again,
year.
And you go, okay, why is that sector down so hard? Well, buy now, pay later. Again, people were probably using that for luxury items that they're just foregoing at the moment.
I did. So I've had this argument with a few people this week already because I've had a lot of people their portfolios are down. And look, I'm down deluxe, but I don't care. I don't need the money.
No,
do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm drawing down on that to use it. This is an investment nest egg, so I'll wait for the next run.
Yeah, and that's the way. That's why I'm not stressed about any of it.
And no one should be.
I always looked at crypto as a long-term investment, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin was my long-term investing in the gold standard. Yeah. So that I'll probably pull it out in 30 years' time.
Correct. Yeah.
Or I'll be using it.
So a lot of people are really trying to nail down on whatever share that they're in, whatever industry that they're in, and they're saying this is happening because of this. But you nailed it in your first quote on it. It's just market confidence.
That's right.
There is zero market confidence out there.
Yeah.
So therefore, everyone's selling and nobody's buying, which is forcing all industries down. So
I'm buying though.
That's it. If you are smelling the fear in the water, when people start ringing you freaking out, rub your hands together, okay? Because that means it's buy time, baby.
That's right.
Now, first as a preventative thing, I don't do any leverage trading.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is I don't borrow to play on markets.
Yeah. So all those idiots who remortgage their houses to buy Bitcoin, they're the ones who are in very big trouble.
Well, can we talk about Michael Saylor?
We can. I was just going to say, one of the reasons why the crypto market tanks very, very quickly a lot of the time is because people are leverage trading, and then when their margin calls come in and they're supposed to be able to pay up, their entire accounts are being wiped out. So
it can happen in seconds.
Yeah.
I can show you too, and they're not learning because a mate during the week, he said, check. So I've got TradingView on my phone, and you can type in BTC USD longs and BTC USD shorts, and it can give you it'll show you how many longs are in the system, and so if I just do year to date, 240% increase in longs.
Oh, okay.
So if these people leverage trade, they're done.
Yeah, they're gone already.
And then when you go to shorts, so if I do the year to date shorts, see how they chop up and down, and down, and there's only there's 150% increase now, but that would have happened in the last couple of days. But the reason why there's less is because they won, like their shorts paid out.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so. I'm assuming there's a lot of leverage in here. A lot of leverage.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
I kind of feel like I think there needs to be some government rules around. I know I'm anti it, but what I want to say this: I think I'm a pretty savvy investor, and I have done my ass on leverage trading.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be able to go and get a 99x loan at the click of a button. So now some of these platforms are making you fill out a survey first, which I think is great. I reckon maybe that's the answer. Maybe there is a really stringent course that you're put through to understand exactly what it is that you're doing. But I can see why they allow that function to sophisticated investors, because it is dangerous. And I remember when I was texting you and I was playing with Dogecoin at 99x leverage. I'm like, I made $150 in like 6 seconds. Oh, it's gone. Right? It's like that. And that kind of, I mean, you're only really doing the position that you've got, but if you're taking loans out and then leverage trading, it's crazy. It's
literally
dangerous.
It's like taking out a personal loan and going to the casino and just putting it all on red and then all on black and then all on red and just hoping that you're going to win every single time. And the one time that you don't, you're wiped out.
Yeah. It's just not worth it. Now, I want to put this message out there because I have to start putting all this stuff into one place because I talked to heaps of people and heaps of people reach out to me in different ways. But I want to kind of centralize it all in one spot. If you bought stocks at the top, if you bought crypto at the top, if you bought property at the top, but it was for investment purposes, turn the app off. Don't look at it.
That's right. Go for a walk.
Come back in 12 months.
Just hold it.
One guy was down heaps. He rang me. He wanted to sell out and buy back in. Like, no.
What an idiot.
No.
You're already in, bro.
Yeah, you already own that stock. Just deal with
Just
it.
hold it.
Okay, it's just a matter of time. There is, and look, some companies can go to zero. You know, my Zip shares, they're down to 50 cents. I bought them at $1.09, thinking I was a super,
$10.
and you bought them at $10, and the guy I was talking to bought them at 14. So, but if they can weather this storm, it'll come back.
Yep.
You know, and it just prolongs the time. But what I do want to say though, most people need to reflect on how emotional they are around investing.
Yeah.
Because that is the killer. It's how you feel about it.
You know, so here's a really good example of how people get emotional about money, to maybe put this in perspective for maybe people who haven't invested before and don't realize how emotional they will become when they do invest for the first time, especially in something as volatile as crypto. Everybody knows stories about people they know who have had a family member pass away and there has been an estate to divide up amongst whoever's left. And everyone knows the stories about how ugly that turns. And everyone talks about it and they go, oh, geez, you know, money just turned, like you see the uglier side of people because of money. That's because they're getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
So because all of a sudden they feel like there's this windfall and they want it. It's the resource. It's
do
mine.
anything.
That's right. They will they'll sell their own fucking family members out because they think they're going to get this financial windfall. So if you think people don't get emotional about money, there's a perfect example. They would literally sell their own family out for money. So when you are investing, and look, I went through it. I've been through
it too. I'm not saying I'm just built differently.
You just experienced.
I've just been through the.
That's right.
There's a great meme, and it shows like it's in reference to crypto, and it's got like that zombie train, zombie roller coaster. And like the zombies coming out of the loop of the roller coaster, and then like normal people going in, and the meme was like 2017 bull run, veterans, and like I'm just imparting my experience on you, so you hopefully don't have to go through.
I like
and
the
learn
meme
from the mistakes.
of I think it's James Franco, and they're all standing on the blocks with the nooses around.
Oh yeah, first time.
First time.
Yeah. That's a good one too. That's a good one too.
Because that's it. Like I did what everyone did wrong in the last bull market in like 2017 when the crash happened. I bought in when everything was going great guns, and I invested like $2,000. And then it started going backwards, and I had the freak out, and I ended up selling half of my stuff at a loss. I fortunately kept the other half in, ended up recovering what I had lost anyway, but I sold because I was ill-disciplined. So what that taught me at that point in time is I understand that the markets do this from time to time. I understand that you only lose if you sell at a loss. And again, this is based on investing in fundamental blue chip cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Or blue chip, whatever. Like this is for anything.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin, it's stocks, it's whatever. If you invest in something that you've heard might go to the moon and you're looking for a quick profit, be prepared to lose that money. Because whether it's crypto or stocks, you're probably going to lose that money. Sometimes you might get lucky. Guess what? Not that many rich people in the world for a reason. Most people don't get that lucky on these things. So my advice to anyone is, if you're someone like me, I'm not super invested in the crypto space, you are. And I know I don't have time for it, and I don't have the mental capacity to sit there and study it every single day like you should if you're trying to make the most profit you can out of the market volatility, because there is profit to be made. And some of those leverage traders are making a lot of profit, right? I'm not that guy. So the way that I look at crypto is a long-term capital growth exercise. And I look at something like this, and like, I think I bought $4,000 worth of Bitcoin 4 months ago. So, I probably lost half my money. Doesn't matter. I haven't lost anything because I haven't sold it. So now I'm looking and I'm going, okay, cool. I'm going to buy some more now. And Bitcoin, to me, like it's the best thing to buy right now because it is the blue chip stock. It is the gold standard. And it will eventually recover.
Yeah, you just dollar cost average. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be people in the future, like your kids are going to say, I can't believe my dad bought $56,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to say that. Now, I want to add on to the point. if you are looking at making a large, whether it be investing, I spoke to someone during the week who is going through the process of buying a unit, and I'm like, why are you buying? Are you buying it for a place to live, or are you buying it to get rich? And he's, oh, no, I want to make money out of it. And I'm like, okay, what sort of research have you done on the marketplace? None. Okay, what do you know? What sort of yield you're going to expect out of that property, and what kind of capital growth that area's had?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what your costs are going to be?
Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. Have you done a spreadsheet to say this is how much I'm going to go in, and this is how much it's going to cost me? And have you compared that to maybe renting and then going in the stock market? No.
Have you factored in the raising interest rates, which whatever you pay for now is going to raise in the next 12 months?
Yeah, even though they're giving you a bracket up to 6%, you know, when the real rate is 6%, you'll need to know what it's like to do it at 9%. You know.
And it's still extra costs you have to pay for.
But his answer was no. And I was like, do that first. You need to know. I'm going to write a book one day.
Yeah.
And the book is going to be called something along the lines of Just Know. Okay? We've got all the information in the world. And I think it's crazy to think that you're willing to sign up for a 30-year commitment without at least doing the sums first.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now, lots of external pressures, parents saying, just buy, right?
As we've said before, that's how the parents got rich, because that's how it worked in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? When they were at the same age, buying property was the ticket to the moon.
Yeah.
Because you're going to buy your $100,000 house, and you're going to sell it for $1 million 20 years later.
If anyone wants a great combat when their parents are saying, that's how you do it, safe as houses and blah, 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 just ask them, how much did they pay for their first house? And then ask them, and then they'll go, oh yeah, but I was paying 20% interest. And go, okay, so your house was 40 grand, and how much did you earn? Okay, you earned 40 grand a year. Okay, so as a proportion, it was 1 times your yearly wage was your mortgage at 20%. Okay, so now I'm getting paid 80, so I'm getting paid twice what you are, but I've now got to pay 15 times more for the property, but at 5 times less interest rate. Yeah, I'll take your scenario over my scenario.
Because you're also paying a smaller interest rate off a much larger amount.
Do you remember when I had the argument with an old boss, and he goes, yeah, but it's because you guys want too nice houses. I only had 1 bathroom.
Yeah. I saw a good comment about this on a Facebook thing the other day. There was some news article about how this pensioner was like, I really hope that the banks pass on the interest rate rises to my savings account because I'm getting a little bit skinned. And someone had commented on it going, maybe you just should have gone without more times in your life. Like, clearly you've just wanted to go to cafes and stuff all the time. And, you know, maybe if you didn't do those things and you saved more money, then you'd have more money in your bank account. See, it's not that helpful, is it? Like, see what it's like to be a millennial now?
I saw someone's Twitter handle, which was like, I'm long on smashed Avo. And he was like an investing guy. But yeah, so just know. Just put in the effort. And I'm not saying you don't know the answers.
Yeah.
But find out. And if you don't know how to find out, ask someone on YouTube how to find out.
Let me put
Google how to find out.
Especially if it's something like property where you're like, it is a 30-year commitment. Just think about this. If you're a young bloke, you would not go around shooting loads in whoever, whatever, whenever, because that might be an 18-year commitment that is not a good thing for you, right? That's only 18 years. This is 30 years. This is 12 more years.
Yeah.
So that's how dumb that decision would be to make. This is dumber. This is even dumber. And you're right. Like, I think that...
Remove the emotion, though. The emotional response is, okay, my parents said to do it. Yeah. Society says to do it. There's no one... I'm the only guy in this guy's network saying, hey, maybe you should have a look at some alternatives.
Maybe you should do some research and think about it first.
I'm the only one saying it because everyone else is just saying the easy thing, which is, do it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Because they've done it, because they were, they succumbed to the same level of pressure that their network did.
Yeah.
But I've done it. I did the sums. 3% yield. So mine was renting off its head.
Yeah.
Sure, I had some squatting, but even with all that, I got a 3% yield. if I were to put that same money in the stock market,
Yeah.
right, in an ETF like I'm in now,
Yeah.
I would have been 5% per year better
Yeah.
over 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do I want to be rich, or do I want to stay I'm a homeowner?
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yeah, and it's like Warren Buffett's famous saying: "No one wants to get rich slow," and that's half the problem.
Yeah.
Is that everyone's like, "Oh, I've got to get into like you think about investing, and you go, I've got to get into the thing now before I miss out. So, the amount of people that probably jumped into crypto for the first time this year because they're like, "Oh, it's going through the moon. I've got to get in now. I've got to get in." Stay in. If you got in, stay in. But same as housing or like you just need to understand that unless you are going into business and you're creating a brand new product which is going to change the world, you're probably not going to get rich quick by just investing. Whether it's property, whether it's crypto, whether it's shares. It is a long-term commitment for long-term wealth creation, and that's the way that you need to look at it. And if that's not something that you're happy with, cool. Take that money that you've got, sit down and go, how am I going to create a product that revolutionizes the world?
Yeah.
And figure out how to get that to market and be the first to do it and do it properly with all the patent protections and everything and the intellectual property protections. And then create instant mega wealth that way. But the problem is, I think so many people are so misguided when it comes to investment because you're right. Like, I think the majority of it comes from your parents because they had a strategy that worked for them when they were kids, or they didn't, and they just heard that it worked for someone else, so they've told you to do it too.
Yeah.
And it may
or they've told you nothing. Yeah. And you're out there on your own.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole bunch of things too. For me, it's even things like university education. Like a lot of us were told, got to go to uni, or you won't get a good job, or you won't make enough money. Well, there's fucking heaps of money out there for people who don't have university degrees.
Yeah.
Like, you actually need to go, okay, what do I want to do? What am I trying to achieve? How much do I know about this thing that I'm considering doing? Can I take 3 extra months to really bury myself in the information around that subject so I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about before I go and do it?
Well, that's what Michael Saylor said. He's like, you should do 1,000 hours of research before you make a move.
Yep.
And, you know, what does that equate to in days? Can you do the maths?
I don't know.
But it sounds extreme, but you're about to sign up for a 30-year loan, which is a lot more than 1,000 hours. Now, on the Michael Saylor thing, so MicroStrategies is the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin. He's got like 150,000 Bitcoin. Oh,
it'd be 41 days straight.
Okay,
on 24 hours a day.
So, would you put? Could you say it's 6 months, 12 months worth of?
It's probably 12 months worth of actual research at a reasonable level per day.
Yeah. Is that fair to ask as a fair exchange for a 30-year commitment?
We'll look at anyone who is a superstar in any field. They've done more than 12 months worth of dedication to their craft. Yeah.
So MicroStrategies owns, I think it's 150,000 Bitcoin at what's called a strike price, like a dollar cost average price of $22,000 US per Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they bought some cheaper ones and they bought some a lot more expensive ones.
Yep.
And it was believed that there was a margin call that he would have to pay if it went under 22. So if he hit 21, then he would be at a $1.5 billion loss, and that he could potentially have to pay that out because he's leveraged to buy that 150,000 Bitcoin. Now, I was looking for that figure because I was in my head. I said, if he's got that sitting on an exchange or whatever their system is, and he has to dump that 150,000, like if you had a long on that kind of, you've bought the Bitcoin, but it hits that strike price, it sells automatically at whatever that price is, and you just have to pay the difference. So I was expecting if it hit 21, then it could go back down to $12,000. He has since come out and said, everyone that thought that is just a Twitter troll. I've got ways to cover it.
Right.
Okay, so he's still in. He's still obviously bullish because he's done nothing. He's done nothing with that amount. But that was an interesting, that he will be someone that's built into Bitcoin folklore. Like Elon's the Doge guy. Michael Saylor really is the patron saint of of Bitcoin, but keep an eye on that. Someone had said that it would be good to buy MicroStrategy stock now. Like if you were not so this guy's an anti-crypto dude, but he's like, well, I've seen what happens, but I'd be more comfortable investing in MicroStrategy, So keep an eye on what happens in that space. That's going to be very interesting because I think we drop. I reckon we end up back at $12,000-$13,000
US.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because when I look at the world and I go, for me, crypto is an asset that institutions have started investing in, but the institutions want a return. And typically, unfortunately, where that return comes from is they take it from the mom and pop investors who invest in it at the wrong times and then sell out and they lose their money. And that's how crypto works. It's basically
No, that's how all markets work.
Yeah, that's right. But crypto's the same. So
I mean, that's what the housing market has done to get... So each boomer that made a fortune out of property
they
did it by selling it to
else.
young people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. So then you look at it and you go, how long is it going to take to get to a point where the economy recovers enough for people to be flush with enough extra cash to then start investing in these assets again to then drive them up?
You know when it is. You know when that time is.
What, 2024?
Yeah, what happens in 2024 does it?
Donald Trump comes back to party, baby.
I genuinely think that there will be massive opportunity before that. I mean, I got accused of saying it was reductionist to think that these problems are Biden related, but he's got his hand on the wheel, right?
There's a quote that he came out with during the week when he was like, I'm sick of hearing all these lies. Inflation is not caused by reckless spending. And it's like, dude, you're literally printing trillions of dollars and handing it out to people. That's causing inflation. You're printing billions of dollars and buying weapons and just sending it overseas. Well, do you know,
that's actually not where I think the worst of it is. The worst of it is removing 12% of the energy supply from the Western world. Yeah. That is, and you talk about it all the time. You talk about the cost of energy, and that's what's pumped fuel prices up. And we know, if it wasn't such a divisive subject, I really wanted to put a poll up to see, do we think that economic sanctions work? Because in no time in history, there's not one time an economic sanction has got a government or a country has got a result. Yeah. Yet we still do it. Mm-hmm. And
even Biden came out, like, after saying at the beginning when they imposed the sanctions originally that it was to affect the Russians, he came out fairly recently in the last couple of weeks and said, these don't just affect the Russians, like, they affect the American people too, but this is what we need to do to stand up for you. Like, so now they're like, it's like everything. Every single politician's the same. They sell what they want to sell in the way they want to sell it, and they say that it's not going to negatively affect you. And then when it does, they find a way to justify it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is in a similar vein. I've got my first real criticisms of the Albanese government.
Well, hold on. Let me just finish my point on. So, did Trump overinflate the stock market? Yes. Yeah. Did a lot of billionaires made, a lot of companies thrived, a lot of small independent investors made a fortune. We all made a fortune, all up, right? Yeah. Yes. Was it overinflated? Yes, it was. So even if let's say someone that sat in between a Trump and a Biden came in, would there have been a drop? Yes. Would there have been up to inflation? Yes. Probably less than what it is now. The problem is you've had such a flip side, and there's so little confidence left in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. We've got this extreme overcorrection. Mm. Now, it had to happen. It was overinflated. Had to happen. But it didn't have to go... It didn't have to be 80%, in a lot of sectors, 80%. And fuel's up. I mean, what's fuel up? $2.44 yesterday is... It's insane. And that is a direct correlation to a policy of his. Yeah. So I attribute that to him.
Mm. No, but it's Putin's price rise.
Yeah, well, Putin, do you know what? If I asked Putin, would he sell some fuel? He'd say, da. He'd say, da.
If you got the rubles, he'll sell it.
Yeah. That's why I think there'll be such an extreme flip. Love him or hate the guy, business confidence and market confidence is definitely higher under Trump than it is under Biden.
Yeah, and
we could prove that. Like, it could be a cyclic thing, but if we see in 2024 that kick, that's...
And look, when you look at the Western world too, like, COVID was a massive inflationary cause in a few different ways. Number one, every Western country printed more money to pay for COVID measures.
Yep.
Say whatever you want about their effectiveness. The reality is, the money that was spent on all of the COVID safety measures, vaccines, protective equipment, hospitals, all the stuff.
Making people stay at home.
Making people, loss of economic productivity, closing down of businesses, all of that stuff was a result of policies due to COVID. So that creates a level of inflation. Obviously, the Ukraine war, which everyone just wants to blame as the main cause, it ain't the main cause. We were already experiencing inflation prior to that.
Yep.
Right? Has it made it better? No. It has made the problem worse. The energy thing is very, very interesting because especially when, and this is where Biden and the Democrats, they back themselves into a corner because they try to put all these sanctions on Russia because they're like Putin bad. And they're like, they're trying to create like a multi-country cartel to
manipulate the price
of Russian oil.
Yeah.
So that essentially Russia's only going to be selling at a loss so that they're not contributing to
their
Putin's
war chest,
right?
Yeah.
So
which already exists, by the way.
Yeah.
So OPEC already does that.
Yeah. But it's like, again,
it's just not aimed at Russia.
The way that the Democrats sell it to the people is we're doing the right thing. We're standing for Ukraine and like these, he's a war criminal and these human rights abuses that Putin's doing and blah, 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 blah. And then let's go and suck Saudi's dick for oil. Like, hey, Saudis aren't that great to people. Like, there's some pretty bad human rights issues that are coming out of that country.
Well, they're in a war too.
They tried to do it with Venezuela as well. All of a sudden, going to suck Venezuela's dick for oil as well. Like, it is so driven by...
This is all I want. This is all I want.
Yeah.
I want us to be honest.
Yes.
I want us to say, war in Ukraine, bad. Buying your petrol, good.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's be real.
That's right.
We know... Sorry. We know the sanctions don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do the sanctions.
Yeah, remove the sanctions.
Saudi Arabia oil good?
Take a second, bro. Take a second. I know you want to get this point out.
I'm so excited.
Take a second.
Saudi Arabia oil good? War in Yemen bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys know there's a war in Yemen?
Cutting heads off gay people also bad.
Yeah.
All right. But if we are honest about that, we can all move forward.
Yeah.
Let's understand that, and it kind of relates into, and I don't want to move completely off the topic, and I don't know if we spoke about it last week about Golf Live or Live Golf.
No, we haven't spoken.
The Saudi-run
golf tournament that goes up against PGA,
and you've got the PGA saying Khashoggi, like pulling up Khashoggi, and how could you take Saudi money? Well, we take Saudi oil.
That's
How
right.
is it any different?
That's right.
Like did you and PGA has a PGA tournament in Saudi.
That's right.
Let's just be real. Go out there and say, hey, I don't like this. I don't like this competition. Saudi government willing to spend, or royal family, sorry, wanting to spend billions of dollars trying to rip our game up. Do something with your game.
That's right.
Let's just be real.
Yeah, and you're right. And this is where honesty and just being real about how the world really works is it would be lovely to have. It's never going to happen because unfortunately, it's like, they talk about all the time about how telling the truth is really easy, lying is really difficult because you need to remember every single lie that you've told.
Yeah.
And that's where, and I'm not going to point fingers at left or right or anyone. All these governments are getting themselves caught up in knots because they've all lied to us for so long about all of these different things. And
it's ingrained into the culture of politics.
That's right. And like this actually segues me back to my criticism of the Albanese government.
Yeah, cool.
So, look, first of all, one of the things that he campaigned on was about going towards net zero by 2050 and pushing towards renewables. And then now all of a sudden he's going to beg the power companies to increase energy production from coal-fired power plants. Now, what people need to understand about this whole energy crisis situation that we're experiencing here in Australia, the entire cause of this energy crisis is because we privatised energy in this country.
Disagree, but carry on.
The energy is there to be produced.
Mm-hmm.
It's just costing them too much to produce it at the moment. So the energy companies aren't producing as much energy. We've got answers. We've got solutions, like we've spoken about nuclear before. We've spoken about all these different things that we can do to decrease the price of energy in this country. But what I found so funny was we spoke about it months ago, and I saw a meme about this the other day, which is what made it front of mind. But Palaszczuk's fix for the fuel price was everyone just go and buy an electric car.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you, was it $3,000? I'll give you $3,000 off.
To buy $60,000.
Your $60,000. I know you don't have a job. but I'll give you $3,000 off to buy a $60,000 electric car. And then now, the whole Eastern Seaboard, we're being told, conserve energy because you guys turned your heaters on and now we don't have any power left.
Okay, so I've had people ring me and ask me what has happened with this power thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the story is we're effectively in brownouts in Sydney, Melbourne, Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
Because the energy supply has been reduced, because the market price is so high, because there is a government regulator that caps the price that power companies can charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the power companies selling that power at a loss, they just turn the supply off. Okay? That's what's happened. The reason why this happened is purely down to market price. The reason why the market price has gone up is because of sanctions on 12% of the world's power.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the core of your problem. So address the core.
Yeah,
so
but I don't think it's just the sanctions.
100% it is. Well, sorry, demand has increased,
mm-hmm.
but it was down to market price. So demand increased, but we've got the capacity, but we can't use the capacity because the guys are going to run at a loss because the market price is so high. So you look at your petrol price. Your petrol price is higher than it's ever been,
mm-hmm.
right? Now, if the government came out and said you're not allowed to charge any more than $2 a litre,
mm-hmm.
these guys are going to run at call it a 40-cent loss.
Mm-hmm.
What do? You just don't sell it, and you're ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you need to get the market price down.
Mm-hmm.
How's the only way to get market price down? Is increase supply. Where have we reduced the supply? It's Russian market price. That's what it is. In my mind, that is the
It's an interesting take on it, yeah.
Yeah, you removed 12% of the world's energy supply,
mm-hmm.
oil, gas, right? What do markets do? It pushes the price up because you remove supply and
mm-hmm.
demand is still there.
Yeah.
That is an economical fact.
Mm-hmm.
Economic fact. That's what's forced this.
Mm.
Now, market manipulation by having a body that's designed for a good thing to try and make sure that we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe to your point, if it was a government-run utility, then it wouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You'd just do it. So yeah, in a way, you're definitely right. But the inception is because of having
fair enough.
a free market that's not free.
Yeah, and look, this has come up time and time again lately on the podcast. We keep talking about how we've got a free market economy, but we don't.
Yeah.
And the energy market's a good example. Malcolm Roberts talks about this all the time. All the renewable energies that we use at the moment, massively government subsidised. Massively. And you can say, fair enough, you want to invest in those renewables because you want to move towards them. Okay. But they are massively subsidised by the government. So this might not make sense, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Mm.
I look at how much money the government threw at the COVID response to keep people safe, quotation marks, right? To stop people from dying. Why would we not be throwing that money? Because we don't have a public power system.
Utility, yeah.
Right? We don't have that at the moment. Why would we not be throwing money at the energy companies to get costs down to allow, especially older people, to heat their homes? Because I guarantee you will have more elderly people die because they can't heat their homes during winter than you will have elderly people who would have died from COVID. But we threw hundreds of billions of dollars at the COVID response.
I see what you're saying. I think it's a hard. I reckon your numbers are off, but I see that I see that there should be some investment in the longevity of our people.
Mm-hmm.
We've illustrated that we're willing to pay for it.
Yep.
I mean, the easy fix is just to say to that. Actually, sorry, they're trying to do this. Taking a step back, the government is talking to the power companies to say, no, just supply it and we'll compensate you.
Yeah.
Which is the same as...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It is not the same. So yeah, look, should we have some more nationalised security around our utilities? Yeah, probably. We probably should. But just understand that we'll be... Like, let's say if tomorrow they went and bought them all up, we'd probably be whinging about something else that they're doing around power that's inefficient, ineffective, and dumb, and so it's a lose-lose, right?
Yeah. So here's something. So just out of interest, I was like, because I know that normally, like Origin Energy's in the top 10 for the most profitable countries in Australia. Companies in Australia. So I just did a quick search of the most profitable Australian companies of 2022. And now, number 1, Rio Tinto. Number 2, BHP. Number 3, Fortescue Metals Group. So what do these guys all have in common?
Miners.
So mining Australian resources and selling them for massive profits. Number 4, Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Number 5, Woolworths Group. Number 6, ANZ Bank. Number 7, National Australia Bank. Number 8, Westpac Bank. Number 9, Macquarie Group, so a bank. And number 10, Transurban Group. So think about the...
What does Transurban do?
Transurban...
Are they trucking?
I think so.
Or trains?
Highways and rail tracks.
Oh, is that sweet? Is that sweet Melbourne contract that
it blew out by like
$4 billion?
Transurban Group Limited engages in the development, operation, and maintenance of toll roads. So they're doing
God,
right.
Don't even get me started.
So think about this. So we talked about inflation, and one of the things that the RBA has done is increased the interest rates to try to curb inflation.
Yep.
And all the banks passed on that rate straight away. They're all in the top 10 most profitable companies in the country.
So just to give you, paint your picture, I'm not sure how much the mining companies make, but I know that that Woolworths Group, that's $1 billion a month in profit.
Yeah, right.
And if the banks are more than that, I know Commonwealth used to make $1 billion a month in profit as well.
Yep.
And yeah, they haven't done it this time around, but you'll start to hear this rhetoric in the news as the cost of lending has gone up.
Yeah.
Remember, that's what it used to be. That was the old, every time they're going to put a pump, markets are so much harder. So, the cost that we have to borrow money from overseas, which they don't do, it's just printing new money here anyway.
Yeah.
How long have we gone?
Just over an hour now, so we can wrap it up soon. But that's the thing, isn't it interesting how, because I think we talked about inflation a little bit last week, didn't we? It might have been the week before. And literally this came up this week, the raise to the minimum wage.
Oh, yeah.
We need to address this quickly. The raise to the minimum wage is a really bad idea. And the reason for that is because at the moment we have a supply and demand issue, which is why everything is so expensive. Because it is more expensive to supply it in the first place, but the demand is still extremely high. The whole point of putting interest rates up is to discourage people from spending money elsewhere in the economy, because it increases the cost not only of the homes you currently own, but it also stops people from going to buy new homes because the costs are higher. So the whole idea is to put a downward effect on spending. Then we've gone out and we've taken minimum wage earners, who are traditionally the group, this is a generalization, who spend instead of save or invest, and we've just given them more money. And typically what these people will do is they'll take that extra money and they will spend it, which then puts more upward pressure on demand and supply, because they now have extra money that they can go and spend on things, which is going to increase inflation. And within, like Mitchell said it on his post, probably within 6 months, their 5% pay increase that they're getting will be negated by the additional inflation that they'll be experiencing.
Not even 6 months. Not even 6 months.
It probably isn't that big real.
Look, you're right. I think if anything, it's more of a psychological thing for the people that get it. They feel good inside, and if that feeling is worth whatever that percentage uptick is, it's probably worth it. As much it's like
You think? I don't.
Because it doesn't.
So here's another few things which are unintended consequences of this. Number one, minimum wage jobs are supposed to be minimum wage jobs for a reason, because they're low yield, low experience required. They're a stepping stone job for young people to enter the job market. Now, young people entering the job market are earning fairly good money on the minimum wage, which means businesses will now look at them and go, "You're actually not qualified enough to do that job." So it actually freezes young, inexperienced workers out of the job market.
It does put people out of the job market, because you'll find someone like a small business that wants staff on a on a weekend that will just not put someone on.
That's right.
Because so you definitely stifle that. Again, like I don't get worked up about it, because I think the amount of people on minimum wage is relatively small to, like, there's bigger issues afoot. Like there's more supply issues that have pumped inflation far higher than what the inflation will be caused by this small uptick to the minimum wage. So I'm actually not as angry about minimum wage. But I agree with you, it does increase inflation. It does. Yeah. It's a fact.
So if you go,
and it is a waste of time. But like I said, if you look at it for at least the emotional side of these people, that if it gives them a glimmer of hope, then yeah, let's pay it forward. That's how I see it now. I've changed my tune on it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's interesting that you see it that way. I still think it's a really bad idea, because on the one hand, you've got, like, is it an assumption for me to say that most people who have a mortgage probably aren't on minimum wage?
Yeah.
So their costs increase and they get no additional coverage to help pay for their increased costs. Meanwhile, the costs are increasing to the banks who are in the top 10 most profitable companies, who maybe they could, I don't know, help out the taxpayer that bailed them out 10 years ago. Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, look, and that's what I'm saying. I'd rather you put your pressure on them for them doing the wrong thing than worry about the uptick. But I will also say this. I have a feeling, which is, I've mentioned this notion a couple of times and people don't tend to agree with me. I still have this feeling. The investor class has suffered now. Our summer's over. And I think if you're a worker, this is your summer. Your summer is beginning. You can walk out of any job that you're in now and go get paid 30% more to go and do the same job somewhere else.
Yeah, agree.
Now, I literally had this, I made this statement a couple of weeks ago to someone, and then I met with someone during the week who has done exactly that. She went from 70K to 100K. Yep. The job she's got now is easier than the job that she had before, because the job market's so hot. Now, even that has an inflationary aspect to it. So just know that as well. Like, that's worse. Her uptick, her 30 grand extra, will do more damage to inflation than what the minimum wage going from 20 to $20.80 or whatever.
For one person.
For whatever it is, yeah. But because the markets are so poor at the moment, the investor class is going to feel it. Okay, but there is so much pressure on. Australia has not got enough people here.
No.
Okay, we're not immigrating enough people. There's so much work available, and this girl got poached. She just received a phone call and said, "Come and work for me, and we'll pay you 30% on." Anyone could go and do that.
Yeah, you guys need to understand
has
that too.
400,000 jobs.
Yeah, wow.
Listed. Wow. Now, another tip: don't go through Seek.
No.
Find a friend.
Yep.
Make the phone call. Make the introduction. Get in someone's face. Meet someone. I was talking to a friend that he puts a job list up. He get like 80% of his job apps are just people trying to maintain their social security.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, because they have to apply for 20 jobs a week.
20 jobs a week?
20 jobs a week to maintain.
That's a full-time job in itself. Just go to work, man.
Right. But, so there is that out there. And I think there is going to be this real shift, which I think is funny. I don't think it was caused by, but I think it's interesting that we're now in a Labor government and the labourers are going to benefit. The labourers are going to have a very good time in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but I don't think it's anything to do with the government.
It's not.
To be fair.
I think it's funny though. I think
Yeah,
timing. It's ironic. The timing is very interesting. Now, where I do want to give Labor some credit is this school thing, preschool, free. Is it free preschool? Is it
free
prep?
Yeah, pre-care, I think they call it. I think
Yeah.
it's for like 3 or 4 year olds in the year before they go to school.
Because now I had I've got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Here, but I've heard teachers talking about it only recently, saying that they can notice a real difference between the kids that did go to prep, and it's always rich kids. Mm-hmm. They went to prep, and then when it comes to actually teaching them something, they've got a leg up.
Yeah, that's right.
So that is absolutely something that we should do to create a better society.
Yep.
So I give props to that. And sure, we're going to pay for it, and it's going to get rorted. But I think it's a good thing. We'll look
on
back
that note too, Dan Andrews in Victoria, so he was the one who announced it, because I think it's mainly Victoria and New South Wales doing it first. I don't know if Queensland's going to do it straight away. And when Dan Andrews announced it, he also announced that they are going to build state-owned and run childcare facilities, which is something that we've spoken about before too. Because I don't
like Melbourne doing it.
I
cook foods.
Oh, for sure. Totally get
shut
it.
Down the
he's probably invested in it, and he's going to make a fucking packet out of it. I cop that.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that.
But again, we've said it a million times before, a good idea is a good idea.
Yep.
And just because I hate the bloke, and I think he's an absolute corrupt scumbag, and I'm sure he's getting paid somewhere along the way in this, it's still exactly what we spoke about the other week, where we've got state schools and we've got private schools, but we've only got private childcare, and the majority of private childcare is paid for by the state anyway through the childcare subsidy.
Yeah.
So why would you not have more affordable state-run childcare facilities available? And I think that's a step in the right direction.
And more options means more competition, and then
That's
more
right.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So props to that. So there's a bit of give and take for like. Oh, I want to say this too, and I don't have it's something I noticed, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on it. When Albo's been going out and meeting these dignitaries, everything seems very light. They seem to be having like that Joko Widodo. He just saw Joko Widodo.
Okay.
And it seemed very warm.
Okay.
Compared to anything that I've seen from ScoMo.
Do you think that could be because it's Albo's first time doing these things and he's trying to make a good impression?
No, I don't think it was him. I think it was the way they received him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, my cynical brain went, they just know because they got this guy. They're going to do him over.
Yeah, possibly.
But then another part goes, well, no, hold on. Is that the start of a good relationship? That, to me, seems like a far more healthy relationship than having that standoffishness, which I feel like ScoMo had.
Yeah, look, you could be right. And we've said it before too, that ScoMo is Scotty from marketing. He's a salesperson, so everyone knew he was full of shit. So, do you enjoy talking to people that you know full well is full of shit and is just trying to feed you through what you want to hear? No, it's a shit experience. So maybe Albanese does have that leg up. I will say, though, that Albanese has already got a big strike on himself from this week when he was asked about whether or not he will be making National Cabinet documentation public. No.
Yeah.
So after criticising ScoMo because he put in a Freedom of Information Act request last year which got rejected for National Cabinet documents, and so he said it was disgusting and ridiculous and ScoMo's the worst person in the world and he's obsessed with secrecy was the quote.
Yeah.
And then he was asked this week of whether or not he was going to make National Cabinet transparent, and he said no. And then when he was asked why that was and why the change of heart, he said to the reporter, you were able to ask your one question, and he moved on to someone else.
Do you think the reason why National Cabinet is still a secret is because there's an alien there?
No, I think it's still secret because all the Labor premiers were involved in National Cabinet, and they're all still elected, and it would look terrible for all of them if
that's when the brown paper bags come out, you reckon?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is something...
We should be pushing against this. There should not be a weekly... It's a weekly function, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. It depends on what's happening.
We should not be okay with a secretive gathering of our government on a regular basis. Yeah. That is not cool.
That's right.
That is not part of the democracy.
And this all gets back to everything we've said for the entire pandemic. There is no way that the public should have been funding the vaccines on a commercial in confidence contract that we will never know the details for.
Yeah.
And not only the details of how much we're paying, but who's getting kickbacks, and what else is involved, because we all know about those other countries who had to give up things like military bases as collateral. Did we have to do that? So that should never have happened. Now, number two, we should never...
I think the F-35's just been renamed the Pfizer 35, Joint Strike Fighter, Joint Jab Fighter.
Just shoots vaccines. We should never have had all these quarantine facilities built under commercial in confidence contracts with private companies that have then been handed over after the taxpayer has paid and absorbed an amount to not only build it, but also to rent it back for 12 months. So these are all the things that are being hidden by this National Cabinet, and we should not be okay with that.
Yeah.
And the fact that, unfortunately, after campaigning on, I'm going to bring in a federal ICAC, and, ScoMo's leading the most corrupt government, and I'm going to remove the corruption. Well, mate, your first chance to remove corruption was to make National Cabinet transparent, and you said no.
Yeah.
So not a good start. That's fucking not on.
I'm actually giving him... I'm still going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and that I don't think it's over, because that was the first one. So maybe I'm giving him the opportunity to right his wrong.
Yeah.
Because National Cabinet should not exist.
So here's my prediction, and this is just in line with what I've been saying for the entire vaccine rollout. They will keep National Cabinet secret, and they will try to fluff the airwaves with different things to talk about until the end of 2022, because the vaccine trial officially ends in 2023. And at the end of the trial, they'll no longer be able to hand these things out to everyone with all the adverse events and the fact that, as we said last week, it's not doing much. So there'll be no justification for it. At that point, then, if we push for it, we might get a bit of this information. But I still think that they're just going to put it off. And then as soon as the noise gets too high, everyone's going to be given freedom back, and we're going to just roll on with our lives and forget about it.
Yeah, could be.
Unfortunately.
And on that note...
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next RDO.